Qais is a town in northern Jordan principally known for its proximity to the ruins of the ancient Gadara. It lies in the Bani Kinanah department and Irbid Governorate in the extreme northwest of the country, near Jordan's borders with Israel and Syria. It is perched on a hilltop 378 meters above sea level overlooking the Sea of Tiberias, the Golan Heights, and the Yarmouk River gorge. Gadara was situated in a defensible position on a ridge accessible to the east but protected by steep falls on the other three sides. It was well watered, with access to the Umm Qais spring and cisterns. A member of the Decapolis, Gadara was a center of Greek culture in the region, considered one of its most Hellenized and enjoying special political and religious status. By the 3rd century BC the town was of some cultural importance. It was the birthplace of the satirist Menippus, a slave who became a cynic philosopher and satirized the follies of mankind in a mixture of prose and verse. His works have not survived, but were imitated by Varro and by Lucian. The Greek historian Polybius describes Gadara as being in 218 BC the strongest of all places in the region. Nevertheless, it capitulated shortly afterwards when besieged by the Seleucid king Antiochus III of Syria. Under the Seleucids, it was also known as Antiochia or Antiochia Semiramis and his Seleucia. The region passed in and out of the control of the Seleucid kings of Syria and the Ptolemies of Egypt. Gadara was captured and damaged by Alexander Jannaeus. In the early 1st century BC, Gadara gave birth to its most famous son, Meleger. He was one of the most admired Hellenistic Greek poets, not only for his own works but also for his anthology of other poets, which formed the basis of the large collection known as the Greek Anthology. In 63 BC, when the Roman general Pompey placed the region under Roman control, he rebuilt Gadara and made it one of the semi-autonomous cities of the Roman Decapolis, and a bulwark against Nabatean expansion. But in 30 BC Augustus placed it under the control of the Jewish king Herod. The historian Josephus relates that after King Herod's death in 04 BC, Gadara was made part of the Roman province of Syria. Josephus relates that in AD 66, at the beginning of the Jewish revolt against the Romans, the country around Gadara was laid waste. So Vespasian marched to the city of Gadara. He came into it and slew all the youth, the Romans having no mercy on any age whatsoever. He set fire to the city and all the villas around it. The Gadarenes captured some of the boldest of the Jews, of whom several were put to death and others imprisoned. Some in the town surrendered to Emperor Vespasian, who placed a garrison there. The 2nd century AD Roman aqueduct to Gadara supplied drinking water through a canal 170 kilometers long. Its longest underground section, running for 94 kilometers, is the longest known tunnel from ancient times. Gadara continued to be an important town within the Eastern Roman Empire, and was long the seat of a Christian bishop. With the conquest of the Arabs, following the Battle of Yarmouk in 636, it came under Muslim rule. Around 747 it was largely destroyed by an earthquake, and was abandoned. The ancient walls may now be traced in almost their entire circuit of 3 kilometers. One of the Roman roads ran eastward to and an aqueduct has been traced to the Pool of Hab, about 20 miles to the north of The ruins include those of baths, 2 theaters, a hippodrome, colonnaded streets and, under the Romans, aqueducts, a temple, a basilica and other buildings, telling of a once splendid city. A paved street, with double colonnade, ran from east to west. The ruts worn in the paved road by the wheels of ancient vehicles are still to be seen. Gadara. In the Gospels in the 1st century, Jesus is said to have driven demons out of a man and into some swine in the country of the Gadarenes, or country of the Gerasenes, which has often been associated with Gadara. A story set in the territory of the Gadarenes, probably referring to the area around Gadara, appears in the Gospel of Matthew 8:28-34. It describes an encounter between Jesus and two men possessed by demons. Jesus exorcises the demons, driving them into a nearby herd of pigs, which then run down the steep place into the sea, evidently intended to refer to the Sea of Galilee. In the original version, in the earlier Gospel of Mark v1-20, the incident is set in the territory of the Gerasenes, or Gerasa, around 50 kilometers southeast of the Sea of Galilee. The author of the Matthew Gospel appears to have moved the setting to Gadara to make it more plausible. However, it is still 10 kilometers away, so Oregon speculated that there had been a town called Gergasa on the shores of the sea. Notable persons. Gadara was once called the City of Philosophers. Among others, Gadara was home to Menippus of Gadara, the cynic satirist, Meleger of Gadara, the cynic poet, Philodemus of Gadara, the Epicurean philosopher and poet, Theodorus of Gadara, the orator, Ennomaus of Gadara, the cynic philosopher, Apsines of Gadara, the rhetorician, Philo of Gadara, the mathematician. Tourism. Many visitors come to Qais on day trips from the capital, Amman, roughly 110 kilometers to the south, to see its extensive ruins and enjoy its panoramic views. The Sea of Galilee and Tiberias, Israel, are visible, and just across the valley of the Yarmouk River is the southern end of the Golan Heights, Syria, under Israeli occupation since the Six-Day War in 1967. Mount Hermon bordering Lebanon is visible in the distance on clear days. At Beit Rausen, formerly the house of the Ottoman governor and now part of the complex, Greek statues and Christian mosaics are exhibited.